And moving on, it's been more than 2 years since those days in Manhattan's Zuccotti Park, but the Occupy movement has never relented, spinning off a number of campaigns to help indebted homeowners and students find relief. But their latest project is a bit of a curveball. It's an Occupy debit card, a project from the Occupy Money Cooperative, which grew out of the Occupy movement's earliest days in the fall of 2011. The Occupy card, quote, will provide the basic financial services that people need and use on a daily basis without the cost or the balances required for a regular bank account. It will also be covered by FDIC insurance. The Occupy Money Cooperative is working with Visa to get the card launched nationwide and have it be widely accepted. And while there will be no upfront fees to obtain the card, it will carry with it typical ATM fees like $1.95 for withdrawals and 99 cents for balance inquiries. But still, members of the Occupy Money Cooperative hope that their card will give millions of Americans access to low-cost financial services outside the major banking corporations. So is this something that could get legs and actually challenge Wall Street's stranglehold over the banking system? And what should be made of this relationship with Visa? Does that undermine the anti-corporate greed message that the Occupy movement has been pushing? Joining me earlier was one of the brains behind this debit card, Carne Ross, a former British diplomat who now sits on the board of the Occupy Money Cooperative. And I first asked him how this idea of an Occupy card was conceived of and what the intended goal of it was.
Well, the intended goal is to democratize banking so that the public who should be benefiting from banking are actually in control of it. The basic thing is a cooperative, which is a member-based organization which will provide financial services, and the first will be the so-called Occupy card. But the ultimate ambition is that this thing will offer a full range of financial services, and because it's a co-op, people will actually be part of the company that is providing the services, and they will benefit from it and they will profit from it.
So just so our viewers might understand this better, how is a cooperative run differently than, say, Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan?
Well, it's owned by its members, for a start. It's not privately owned or share-owned. It's owned by the people who use the services. So if you use the Occupy card or, in due course, have a bank account with us or whatever, you automatically become a member, and thus an owner of the company. So it's a fundamentally different business model. It's not really comparable at all.
What more needs to be done to kind of get this project up and running? I see you're trying to raise $900,000 on the Occupy Money Cooperative website. What will that money be used for, and what kind of time frame are we looking at here?
Well, we've got to raise some initial operating capital for two reasons. Number one, when we offer the card, we've got to have a minimal number of, literally a handful of staff to service it. But secondly, as you might be able to imagine, when you offer a card, the upfront costs fall on the producer. In other words, it actually costs us some money to give people cards, to print the cards, send them out to people. I think it's about $12 per card. So we need that initial capital before we can actually start providing cards. But we hope very quickly that, the thing will become self-sustaining and won't have to rely on donations from other people.
So who's basically the targeted audience of this card? I mean, what sort of fees might apply? How will your basic individual who gets this card be using it around town?
Well, the main audience for the card, the main market for the card, is people who can't get proper bank accounts, checking accounts, and there's an awful lot of them in America. There's perhaps 40 million people who are denied checking accounts, which means really that they're denied access to the financial system and they can't get ahead. It's them the card is aimed at. There's a lot of prepaid cards out there already, but a lot of them are very high fees, a lot of hidden fees. They're really quite exploitative. And what we aim to do is provide a very low fee card, good value, where the fees are absolutely transparent, and in fact where we tell the user how to minimize the fees, because we have no interest in extracting any profit from them. They are us, after all. The users of the card are the owners of the company. So that is a fundamentally different thing about the card. The fee schedule is actually on the website. We aim to be totally transparent about everything, including where we spend every dollar of the cooperative.
There's been some flack thrown your way about a potential relationship with Visa to get the card launched and then widely accepted. How do you respond to this criticism? And really, is there any way to accomplish this sort of undertaking without working on the inside a bit?
Well, I think that's right. You have to make some compromises. God knows we would prefer not to use providers like Visa, and maybe one day we won't have to because we're able to provide that kind of national payment network ourselves. But we wanted the card to be available to people, not some kind of tiny minority niche product. And if you want to have a card that's nationally available and can be used in stores nationally, you have to use something like the Visa network. So that was a compromise we decided on. We didn't want to make the best, the ideological best, the enemy of the practical good. We really want to put this card in people's hands so that they can start getting the benefits from it. And when you talk to unbanked people, the potential customers, they don't frankly care about the Visa bit of it. What they care about is the low fees and the fact that this thing is much better value and more transparent. So I think we want to get it out there. That's the main priority for us.
When the Occupy movement started, there was this big push to get people to move their money out of the big Wall Street banks and into local credit unions, and it was pretty successful. I mean, tens of millions of dollars, and could be even more than that, were moved from giant Wall Street banks to these local credit unions. Where do you see the Occupy card fitting in this sort of strategy?
Complementary. I mean, we absolutely support people moving their money to credit unions. Credit unions are able to offer a much fuller range of services than we can at the moment. So we don't see ourselves as competition for them or taking customers away from them. But the awful truth is, in America, they're not allowed to have a national credit union. So there is no credit union that anybody can join. They are only allowed, any credit union can only have membership from a so-called defined membership. In other words, people who live in a particular neighborhood or veterans of the US Armed Services, people like that. And actually what that means is for an awful lot of people, they can't actually join a credit union. So the Move Your Money campaign will only ever have a limited effect. What we hope to do eventually is set up a national cooperative that does offer the full range of financial services. Legally, this is quite tricky, which is why we're taking this step by step, but we think it's possible.
Carne Ross, spokesperson and board member of the Occupy Money Cooperative. Thank you.
Thank you.